independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
It's hard to believe what's going on here in the United States Capitol right now. I've been around here for a long time. I've never seen anything like this. I never thought I would see an armed mob like this break windows and get into the United States Capitol. And these individuals, they should be arrested immediately. There is videotape. We see their faces. We see what they're doing. They are illegally breaking into the United States Capitol, endangering members of the House of Representatives, members of the U.S. Senate. On the floor of the Senate and the House, law enforcement are raising their weapons to deal with these. I don't want to call them protesters. They're not protesters. They're people who are engaged in an insurrection that will fail.
Wolf Blitzer there. What's going on is absolutely appalling. And if you condone this because they're somehow patriotic, you are fooling yourself. You're fooling yourself. You're fooling yourself. This is not who we are. This is not how we do things. This is what separates us from everybody else. This is not who we are. You know, I put up a lot of crap with Trump. You guys know, you listen to the show. Didn't vote for Trump the first time, didn't vote for him the second time. Didn't hate Trump. Still don't hate him. He needs to go. It's enough. Chat, sorry. I'm going to say it like it is. You know, Matt Walsh, who is for those of you not keeping score, pretty conservative cat, said something earlier, because you know how many people have been tweeting at me, texting me, all the hey, you know what? This is totally fine. It's the people's house. You got every right to do this. And they're trying to compare BLM and Antifa. They were wrong too. And I'm not talking about the majority of these people out there tonight and came there to, you know, a lot of those people were there to pray for the president. I'm not talking about them. But if you condone this as it's okay, yet you condemn the other, that's idiotic. Every right to protest, every right to do this. They tried to get to the box that hold the Electoral College votes. They tried to. Matt Walsh tweeted out, if you defend the BLM riots and are condemning the riots today, you're a ridiculous hypocrite. If you condemn the BLM riots, it's Black Lives Matter for those of you not keeping score, but are defending the riots today, you're ridiculous. Hypocrite. Translation, can't have one without the other. We have every right to peacefully protest. Damn it, we should be. You're angry, you're pissed, you didn't like the way the election went, you're out there, but you know what you do? You come back in 2 years. You take that piss and vinegar you have and that anger and you turn it into something productive and you change the people that are in power. This? Sorry. No. Do I think it's a coup? I do not. Do I think it's coup? Absolutely. Most of these people are whipped up on excitement and adrenaline. But I look at Donald Trump, even today, that half-ass, hey guys, go home, be peaceful. I know we were screwed. I know they robbed us. I know they stole everything from us. I'm like, That was his we need to be peaceful. That was it. I was listening to it. I'm like, at this point, I don't even care. I've had enough. That is not who we are. For every one person I get of people who send me, you're an idiot, I hate you, all these things, you know what I'm getting today? I'm getting a lot of people who I know are staunch supporters, because I recognize numbers, or I know who they are, they're tweeting at me, who I know are staunch supporters of the president, who are like, I'm done with him. I'm done. You don't want to hold everybody, like, hey, we can't just say everybody who is a Trump supporter is bad. No, you don't want that. Just like everybody who supports BLM. It's not bad. Everybody's a Democrat. If you're on the Republican side, they're not bad and evil the way that you think they actually turn us into a socialist country. Today was a bad day for America. People are laughing at us around the world. People are going, what in God's name are they doing? They look to us as that beacon on the mountain of hope. All these years, the peaceful power and the transfer of that we've had. And the fact that we've had riots at times, and the fact that we've done, but we've walked through it, and it's never gotten to this point. This is nuts. This is nuts. Woman has died. Why? Well, if you're going to go into the Capitol building, expect that you might get a little pushback.
That sounds like a Got an active shooter. Yo, there's an active shooter here. Get her down. Get her light. Flashlight.
Not an active shooter. You went into a place that you weren't supposed to go the way that you were supposed to go there. And I've had so many people who say, oh, man, this is they got every right to, Chad. The Constitution was breached with the way that this vote was violated. Enough. You can go and look at how many times presidents and senators and our Congress people have breached and stepped on and stomped on the Constitution. Your guy didn't win. And you're pissed. Your guy didn't win. This isn't about election integrity. Oh, Chad, it's about the election. No, it's not. This is about Donald Trump. And he got what he wanted today. He got what he wanted. Now, do I think he wanted somebody to get shot? No. Do I think he wanted the storming of the castle in some ways by a bunch of idiots? No. 99% of these people were there. They wanted to come. They wanted to rally with Trump. They wanted to protest. They wanted to be there, and that is fantastic. That's who we are. These idiots are separate from those people. But this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. It is. And you have what you have at this moment in time. You have what you have at this moment in time. A curfew in D.C. that took place, about 13 minutes ago. And again, I'm great with the peaceful protests. I'm great with all of that stuff. I think that's what we are about. I said the same thing about the Black Lives Matter and all the other protests for social justice. When it's peaceful, it's fine, but it only takes a few knuckleheads. And then the crowd and the adrenaline and then the stupidity, and then it gets out of hand. You know it, and I know it. It's a joke. It's a joke. It is. So today they were supposed to, quote unquote, ratify the election. Started like a lot, and here was the same thing we saw with the Kavanaughs, and the same thing we saw with what went on with Amy Coney Barrett. The same thing where the frustration, the anger, that knowing that you can't stop something was about to happen, knowing there was no way for you to turn it around, and people decided, hey, apparently it was too much. So we are better than this. We are better than this. And how they did not have people ready for this. When the businesses, by the way, for those of you not keeping score, the businesses closed up, boarded up, and you had no thought process of, well, let's maybe get some stuff ready as a just in case. Also embarrassing. Also embarrassing. Kellyanne Conway.
There shouldn't be violence of any kind. Destruction is not part of democracy.
I get you're pissed. You have every right to be upset. You have every right. But this is where you say we can do something constructive and something that's long-lasting, or we can do this. And I'll say this, and I'll continue to say this. This isn't about the long-term integrity of our elections, which we should be looking at. This is about Trump. This is about Trump. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Hope you're doing well. Love hearing from all of you. You love and you hate. And people are like, you're going to lose some listeners tonight. I'm okay with that. I'm doing radio different. I've always done radio different. I've always been me. I'm going to tell it like it is. And I think that's what people respect. We won't always see eye to eye. But this tonight, come on. At some point in time, like I say, I'm getting a ton of people who are like, man, I'm a big support. I have a friend who works here with me on our other station. So I do my national shows going out to you guys right now. And we have a local station that I work with in there because I also host a local show there. He is a staunch Republican. He is as MAGA as it gets. And he was in tears tonight on the radio. Embarrassed. Says he feels ashamed. Because this is not who we are. Chad Benson Show.
Don't let the Washington Beltway strangle you. This is where the exhausted majority comes to refuel, realign, and reevaluate. This is Chad Benson.
We will get these votes secured. These are objections that should never have happened.
They shouldn't. They shouldn't have happened. But they did. But Chad! No, I'm sorry. They shouldn't have happened. Are they going to vote? Today, constitutionally, they're supposed to vote today. Will it happen?
I believe that it will be a very, very strong vote to reject the objections to the electoral votes from Arizona, which is what was being challenged.
I'm hearing through a few of my sources and people there that they were going to challenge all 6 of the swing states, that now they're rethinking that across the board. They may have done more damage to what they thought was going to be something than anything else. So the way this was supposed to work is, and I know, by the way, Mike Pence put out something earlier today basically telling Trump, dude, I can't do anything and I'm not going to do anything. I'm just summarizing. It was much longer and it had stationery in the whole 9 yards. I didn't give you that part, but it was really well written. It was very eloquent. They should have gone there today, and then you have your chance to do what? To protest the Electoral College votes from certain states. You could do it with all of them, but it was only certain states. It's odd there's only certain states that Trump lost. As one Republican put it, why aren't we going with North Carolina? Why aren't we going with, I don't know, Florida? States Trump won. That was a Republican that said that. So then in writing, one person from the House, one person from the Senate object, and then they go from there. And they're supposed to go off and break off in their own chambers, and then they debate it, and then they vote. And you only need, basically, it was never going to happen, and the reason it was never going to happen was pretty simplistic. You need both houses to vote to throw out the electoral votes of those states. It was never going to happen because the Dems have one house. And by the way, I'll just let you guys in on something. They have 2 houses now because Ossoff won and the Reverend won. So now they have it all. Soak that up. Was never, ever not going to happen. They're going to vote. Nothing wrong with being pissed off and angry and upset. It's how you handle those things that matter.
from looking at some of the video and from hearing some of the reports, it seems like a lot of these people showed up with an intent to commit violence. So, that signals to me that this was more of a coordinated effort than a spontaneous display of exuberance.
So it is what it is. This is about Trump. This is not about the integrity of our elections. That's the reality of it. It is what it is, as Trump would say. But at this moment in time, it's old. It's exhausting. It is. And today was one of those things where you're just like, I've had enough. I think a lot of people have. Here's a perfect example of Trump, of course, demanding all of this stuff. Today, never going to give up. We're going to stop the steal. Let's walk down to the Capitol, blah, blah, blah. And then all this stuff happens, and then it's this.
I know your pain. I know you're hurt. We had an election that was stolen from us. It was a landslide election, and everyone knows it, especially the other side. But you have to go home now. We have to have peace. We have to have law and order. We have to respect our great people in law and order. We don't want anybody hurt.
And you're like, okay, well, that sounds okay. But then you have to go out in the way that Trump does. But let me remind you.
This was a fraudulent election, but we can't play into the hands of these people. We have to have peace. So go home. We love you. You're very special. You've seen what happens. You see the way others are treated that are so bad and so evil. I know how you feel. But go home and go home in peace.
On the way out, let me kick you in the grundle and light some more fires. That's what Trump's doing. He's lighting the fires, and he's enjoying it. Look, I love some of the stuff that Trump has done. I can, unlike other people, I can separate the actions and the man. At this point, though, it's. I think we've all had enough. We're exhausted by it. Next, Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Millions of Americans have been misled to believe that members of Congress can single-handedly overturn the results of this presidential election via a vote to object the Electoral College.
That right there is a Republican. Rep. Nancy Mace. North Carolina. You've been misled. And I said this earlier. I said, for a lot of these people, like the majority, so let's say there's 75 million people who voted for Trump, right? Let's just round it there. 75 million people. Not all 75 million people believe that they should storm or get pissed like this or gaslight people or no. But it doesn't take a lot to do something stupid. We saw that in the summer, and I condemn the hell out of those. You're burning a Starbucks, you're burning a church, you're doing stuff because you're pissed and angry, right? You're so mad about racial injustice that I'm going to tear apart a Nike store. This is stupid. This not only makes us look absolutely idiotic and like we don't have our business together anymore, but it tears apart. Our founding fathers weren't worried about us being invaded. They weren't worried about outside forces taking us over. They were worried, though, about us eating ourselves from within. And we're doing it. We're absolutely doing it. Because we've allowed social media and lies and fake news and all of these things. We've allowed people to decide, hey, It's not about the truth. It's about my truth. It's about what that guy says. It's about what that lady says. It's about what that media outlet says. That's what this is all about. That's what this is all about. This is Republican Adam Kinzinger. Republican, again. Not every Republican buys into the BS. Look, there's every reason to look into a lot of these things, and those things are going to take time. And that's why when I question is this about Trump or the actual integrity of the elections, which we should care about. Investigations take time. Trump doesn't have time. Trump doesn't have 6 months or a year. Trump was always on a clock. These things take time. These people aren't here because they're worried about the future elections. They're there because of Trump.
And you see these people that now start calling this thing, equivalent to 1776. I mean, I was seeing this for weeks. It's why I, for weeks, have warned that there was going to be violence on January 6th. You give people false hope. You have leaders that do not have the courage to tell people the truth, which is that Congress cannot just come in and on its own whim make a happy wish of who's president. And when you don't have the courage as a leader to tell people the truth, you end up getting people that believe the conspiracies and the false truth, and you get a Capitol stormed like today.
Because most people are simple-minded at this point. Part of that's because they're lazy. And the other part of it is because they've wrapped themselves up in some sort of veil of, I'm this, I vote like this, so I am therefore this. That's what I identify as. And so I will fight for that. Fantastic. Doesn't matter if it's true or not, right? And it's frustrating. It is. I think a lot of people out there, I've gotten a ton of text messages and tweets from people who love Trump, who say, you know what, I can't do it anymore. I condemn what's going on. It should be condemned. I condemn what's happening. And I get a lot of people out there who feel like, well, the Black Lives Matter movement and Antifa did things, so we should be allowed to do things too. Let me tell you something. You know what you should do? Hold yourself to a higher standard. That's what you should do. If you feel that they're evil and bad and they've done all these things and look at all the bad things they do, then what do? You hold yourself to a higher standard. You call yourself out. Like my children, I hold them to a higher standard. Well, other kids do it. Sorry. I'm holding you to a higher standard. I care enough to criticize, especially things I believe in. I believe in the truth. I believe in our Constitution. Oh, Chad, the Constitution was thrown away during this election. They throw the Constitution away on all kinds of stuff. They do. It is frustrating as hell. We deserve better. First of all, we deserve better across the board. But right now, we've got the government that we deserve. But I think we deserve better. This isn't about, oh, this is another revolution. This feels like this. Belarus? What? Yeah. It feels a little Belarusian. It feels a little third, world Eastern European. Absolutely it does. It's frustrating. Just to let you guys know, Nancy Pelosi, I guess, has said that they will continue tonight with the ratification of Biden's win. And then after that, that's it. I mean, there's not much more you're going to be able to do at that point in time. Unless you declare, if you declare a state of emergency, if he's Trump, I'm going to declare a state of emergency and I'm not leaving. Well, I pretty much call that a coup. At this point, this is just a protest of a bunch of pissed off people who are hyped up and think that somehow that they're doing something that is really noble. But the people in the summer weren't doing anything noble. No, because the people this summer were idiots. And I'm not talking about the protesters. I'm talking to the people that burn things down. Somehow that the right and the wrong, stop making this ad hominem argument. You've got to stop that. It's ridiculous. But we have that over and over again. And Mr. President, I'm looking at you and asking the question, why aren't you more forceful? They believe everything you say. They hang on every word. They've officially no longer, for a lot of these people, most of them, no, they don't. But for a lot of these people, they're looking to you. They're looking at you. What are you going to do? What should we do? They're looking at you. It's time to make a move. What are you going to do? Not that thing. They've already suspended his Twitter or whatever, or because why? Well, because Trump's doing what he does. He couldn't even go out there and say, hey, you know what? Maybe, just maybe, this has gone too far. It's time for you guys to get yourself home. This is not what we're all about. It's time. I'm looking at you, Mr. President.
I've been spending the last 25 minutes or so trying to get the president on the phone myself to say this to him directly. I haven't been successful yet, but I'm going to continue to try, and it's pretty simple. The president caused this protest to occur. He's the only one who can make it stop. And it's not good enough. What the vice president just said is not good enough. What the president said is not good enough. The president has to come out and tell his supporters to leave the Capitol grounds.
It's great to protest. Chad, you just don't like it. You're not free. And I'm getting it all day. You're not a patriot. You're evil. You're bad. You're some. Stop it. Trump did cause this. Trump did. Trump today, along with Rudy Giuliani, talking about, what was it, trial by combat?
We're going to walk down Pennsylvania Avenue. I love Pennsylvania Avenue. And we're going to the Capitol.
Yeah. And they did that. And just doing that is good. Protest. God, that's awesome. But it didn't end there. It didn't end there. It's a shame. It is. You know, I look back at this last 4 years of Trump, and it has been a tumultuous ride at best. He's done some stuff that was good, that I liked. He took on the DC elites, and I was fine with that. At time he took on the media. At time he overtook on the media. But after a while, it stopped being about the fact that it was about, I'm here because of whatever, right? I feel it's my duty. I'm here for the people. I'm here. And it came more about Trump. And if you can't see that, that's insane. It's about Trump. He's always wronged. Everything's stolen from him. Somebody asked me today, do you think people are going to make him out to be a sympathetic figure? No. No, I don't. Why should they at this point? You know, George Bush, after 9/11, we were talking about this earlier with my buddy Mike Broomhead. He said, you know, after 9/11, it was like there was beyond a duty about what he was doing to the office. Reagan always felt like, hey, the office is so much bigger than me. I'm just a placeholder. That's all I am. I'm going to do everything I can not to screw this up. This is about Trump. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from each and every single one of you of an update of when they're going to continue the debate in the ratification of President-elect Joe Biden. It's the Chad Benson Show.
No fake outrage here, just the real thing. The Chad Benson Show.
So Nancy Pelosi said they will continue the Electoral College vote count and the debate at 8 p.m. Eastern. So about 2 hours from now, I'm not quite sure where they're going to be, how they're going to do it. Not quite sure at all. One of the things we were talking about, take away the fact that they went in there and, they broke in and they, when I talked to a couple of the ABC reporters who were on the ground and they're saying that, yeah, they broke some stuff. They tried to loot some stuff. They tried to take the Electoral College votes. They were in this box, but they couldn't do it. But you also got to talk about the fact of COVID, right? So I don't know where they're going to do it, but their constitutional duty is to do it today. And I think they're going to get it done. I do. Somebody tweeted, there's tweets of what's happening. You go on Twitter and what's trending right now. Area 51. I'm like, what's going on? Well, people are joking that if it's that easy to get in the Capitol, then surely we should head to Area 51 because they can't get us all. They can't get us all. Frustrating big time.
Chaos and lawlessness striking at the heart of American democracy.
Yeah, Jonathan Carl, he's right. Sounds very serious, but he's right. Chaos and lawlessness. Chaos because they have a job to do. You don't like the job. Rather than put yourself in a situation where you go, you know what, let's take this and make this better by going out and finding candidates that back my values or your values or whatever it is and putting them in place. It was a fit thrown by people who support Trump. And I'm not talking about all supporters of Trump. I'm talking about the people that, quite frankly, I said it earlier, it's very Jim Jones-esque at times. It is. It is. And I want to see how Mike Pence handles this tomorrow. I want to see how that rolls out over the next several hours. We got to do better. We absolutely must. We must do better. All that being said, and so all of this stuff being said, all this chaos, all this craziness, all this lunacy, all this, everything is TMZ nuttiness. And now it's gone to the point where we're past reality television and into just stupidity, chaos, and asinine moves by people who think that somehow there's some sort of special patriot. All of that being said, there were 2 election special runoffs yesterday in Georgia. 2 of them. Reverend Warnock versus Loeffler, he won last night. Today, Ossoff won. What does that mean? Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is now Minority Leader. Yeah, they've got the president and both chambers. I'm going to say that again. The president and both chambers. That's what they have now. Not being talked about, but should have been talked about. They've got the president, Joe Biden, the vice president, Kamala Harris, who will break the tie in the Senate, giving the majority to Chuck Schumer. And I look right at Trump. This one's on you.
The President of the United States spent more time attacking Governor Kemp and Secretary Raffensperger than he did Raphael Warnock and Senator to be probably Ossoff.
Well, he is the senator now. When you tell people, don't come out, it can't be trusted, but then you say, but do come out. They were mean to me, but they may not be mean to you. Enough. That one's on you. You don't think that has an effect? We've heard it over and over for the last several days. Where people are like, I don't trust I don't trust what's going on here in Georgia. I don't trust the any of this stuff. I don't trust. This one was on Trump.
When you say your vote doesn't count, then you have people who are you've laid your hands on and said, these are my people who say, don't come and vote. Then you spark a civil war within a GOP that needed to be united to get through a tough fight like this.
Yeah. That's Gabriel Sterling, the guy who oversees all the elections there. And he's right. And just to let you know, people are calling in D.C., people of power, are saying it's time to remove the president, not on the 20th, but now. An immediate impeachment. You don't think they're having those conversations right now? Even some Republicans? You don't think they're having that conversation at this moment in time? You bet your candy ass they are. If I asked you what Trump's legacy is, 3 months ago, you'd have said, well, he handled COVID poorly, but he did a great job with the economy. He handled this all right, but he did a horrible job here. He said some stuff. He did some things. What are you going to think about now? Just curious. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
It's hard to believe what's going on here in the United States Capitol right now. I've been around here for a long time. I've never seen anything like this. I never thought I would see an armed mob like this break windows and get into the United States Capitol. And these individuals, they should be arrested immediately. There is videotape. We see their faces. We see what they're doing. They are illegally breaking into the United States Capitol, endangering members of the House of Representatives, members of the U.S. Senate. On the floor of the Senate and the House, law enforcement are raising their weapons to deal with these. I don't want to call them protesters. They're not protesters. They're people who are engaged in an insurrection that will fail.
Media loves the dramatic stuff. Let's be real. But I'll call it what it is. A bunch of idiots. Here's the tweets I get. Here's the text I get. And feel free to text me, 323-538-2423, at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. I'm going to tell it like it is. I'm not going to hold anything back. Don't care if you I'm never going to listen to you again because you're some sort of magic patriot. Here's what it is. It isn't about an election. Long term. This isn't about the protection of our election, the integrity of the election. This isn't about the Constitution. This is about Donald Trump. These people love Donald Trump. These people they wouldn't be doing this if Ted Cruz was the president and would have lost, because Ted wouldn't act like this. I know he's out there today doing it, but he's only doing it because he wants to up his visibility even more and seem like some sort of fighter. Mitt Romney yelled at him, "Hope you're happy." No. This is about Donald Trump. That's what this is about today. This is about Donald Trump. Period. Case closed. End of story. He got what he wanted. He got chaos. He got what he wanted. And there he is. Tweeted out earlier, Vice President Mike Pence, the world's watching. Watching you. That's what the world's watching. Some of the world is speaking up. Irish Prime Minister came out and hammered Trump earlier about a sitting president and what he's doing to democracy. People around the globe are waking up going, what? Wait, what? I thought that was, what is that? Is that El Salvador in the 80s? No. That's D.C. Look, was it bad? No. Was it? Did they blow anything up? No. I'm not going to I'm not going to do what the media does. I'm going to give it to you like it is. It was asinine and stupid. And it was a select group of idiots who decided, hey, this is great. I'm saving our democracy. I'm doing that. I have to do this. Out of the 20 or 30,000 people that there were today, 25,000 went home or back to their hotels or wherever they're off to, the airport. 5,000 were there. 4,500 watched, and 500 did stupid things. We are better than this. We are. And Mr. President, you always talk about legacy, what your legacy is. Legacy could have been the fact that, yeah, you handled COVID, I think, poorly at times. But you got a vaccine in less than a year. Not that you did it on your own, but you got a vaccine when everybody else said, nah, you can't do it. It's not gonna happen. The courts could have been your legacy. Absolutely. You get 3. I know you hate them now because they've all failed you, which isn't true. The economy. Even in crap times of this insanity of COVID, people are looking at their 401ks and smiling. That is until tomorrow when they're going to go, "Ooh." I advise you over the next few days with this bumpiness and stuff, just take a deep breath, realize you're in it for the long haul. If you're getting ready to retire, you might want to think about sitting on the sidelines, taking your money out and putting in something else like cash. Just throwing it out there. You took on the elites that needed to be took on. You challenged. You were a firebrand, and you had some moments. But at the end of the day, I think this is your legacy right here. It's what people are going to remember. That's it. That's sad. It's a sad situation. It is. I think we deserve better. I'm not going to sit here and talk about, Chad, where were you in the BLM protest? I talked about it all the time. I talked about the insanity of it. And I talked about, hey, look, I can get behind the spirit of some of the stuff they're talking about, but not the movement itself and how the people who are the leaders wanted to take it a certain place. But the fact that these knuckleheads are going out there and they're rioting and looting and destroying people's businesses, that is absolutely vile. And I condemned it. I condemned the Chaz, the Chop, whatever it was in Seattle. We still make fun of that. Portland's a nightmare. They've never stopped doing whatever it is that they do. But at the end of the day, if you condemn that but support this and vice versa, come on. We're better than this. We're better than this. A woman was killed.
That sounds like a got an active shooter. Yo, there's an active shooter here. Get her down. Get her light. Flashlight.
They're going to resume in about 45 minutes the counting and the debating and the ratification of the Electoral College votes. I don't think that's going to change. Hearing all kinds of things. Trump apparently has said that this has inspired him to go home. Do not know what that means. Rep. Presley is calling for him to be impeached immediately. Ilhan Omar saying, I'm drawing up articles of impeachment. I don't know. Nobody will talk. He won't talk to anybody. People are reaching out to him. Chris Christie, many others who have his ear, or at least at one time did. And he's either ignoring them. And I asked this question earlier. Where the hell's your family? Where is your family? Where exactly where are people going, hey, you know what? Hey, Dad, you got to do something about this. You have the power. Here's the thing about all of this. He has the power to stop it. They will listen. He has the power to stop. And yet when he released his, hey, let's all go home, he had to once again do what Trump does, which is remind everybody that he was wronged in this.
This was a fraudulent election, but we can't play into the hands of these people. We have to have peace. So go home. We love you. You're very special. You've seen what happens. You see the way others are treated that are so bad and so evil. I know how you feel, but go home and go home in peace.
There you go. It is bizarre. It is. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. What do you think Trump's legacy is now? Honestly. Step back for a second. What do you think his legacy is at this moment? Want to hear from you? Tweet at us. You can text the program. It's the Chad Benson Show.
You go, boy.
This isn't about right or left. This is just about right and wrong.
Right you are, Chad. The Chad Benson Show.
Whether this is an inflection point and more mainstream Republicans sort of take bigger roles in the party or not, I think remains to be seen. But I think most Republicans, including many Trump supporters and many strong Trump supporters, look at this and say they want nothing to do with this kind of behavior.
You think? I've got some friends who are not only strong Trump supporters, who are people in the political world, and they are telling me not only is it done, and producer Phil, you and I are talking about this off the air, does he make it to the weekend as President of the United States? Oh, what? Cryptically earlier, before everything went sideways, by the way, producer Anthony just said something that was so spot on. He's got to be losing his mind right now, and he has no way to try to reach people because he is suspended. They've said Twitter suspended his account for 12 hours. It's chaos. It is. And take away what happened today at the Capitol as far as, they went in, they stormed. That was, first of all, I look around and I ask myself, why is it the businesses knew that this was a potential and they boarded up, much like they did with the protests, with the BLM and everything, and nobody thought for a second, hey, you know what? We should not only have the National Guard here, we need to bring in cops from outside. Now, producer Phil, you're out in the area, and there's curfews now on not just in D.C., several surrounding areas because they're bringing in police from other municipalities?
That's exactly what's happening. At 6 o'clock East Coast time, it pretty much shut everything down around D.C.
Yeah. So you couldn't have thought of that before? God, I can't believe we're going to go fishing, and I didn't even think to bring bait. Chaos! Yeah. This could have been handled better in a lot different ways. Now, I don't know what's going to look like tonight, because as we always talk about, this stuff took place in the day, right? What do we always say about these riots? They don't start out riots, they start out peaceful protests. And then the people that are there, they protest. Maybe some people get a little out of control, but then those people go home. The protesters or the people who are there to rally for the Trump. There was a lot of people there that flew out there specifically to pray for Trump. But at night, when the lights get low, things change. At night, when the lights dim, you and I both know this, happens when we see it with the protests across the country that stop being protests and start being chaos and riots because people are more interested in causing hell. All of that's going on. Democrats are celebrating because they now have control of both chambers, Congress, and they'll have the presidency 2 weeks from today when Biden is sworn in. And Donald Trump could absolutely be pointed at is the reason why both. I mean, look, Loeffler in Georgia and Perdue had serious issues, as has Ossoff and Warnock. Everybody who runs for office has some issues. We all know that. But they had baggage that came with them. But it's still Georgia. And you lost 2 seats that is now pushed the Senate over to the Democrats. And I look right at Trump, because you could not tell me that while you went and rallied for them the subsequent days, weeks, and months before, you talked about how corrupt Georgia was, how you can't trust anything that's happening there, how the system is rigged against everybody who's a Republican, and then expected everybody to come out on that night. That cost them. That cost them. President-elect Joe Biden also spoke tonight.
I call on President Trump to go on national television now to fulfill his oath and defend the Constitution and demand an end to this siege.
Yeah, but he didn't. Kevin McCarthy, Republican, California, a staunch supporter of Trump, talking about what took place today.
I believe every election should be fair and accurate. I have no problem. I still have House races that aren't determined yet. I've got a person who lost a race, a Democrat in the House, contesting it inside Congress right there. That's fair. Those are the rules. That's a possibility. But nowhere does it ever say to take this type of action.
There are Republicans right now that have done a lot for Trump, have stood up for Trump, have put their necks on the line. I'm telling you guys right now, this is a situation, and I said this earlier, this is my son. So my son's out here visiting me. So I don't get a lot of time with him. I was so blessed to have last week with him. So blessed to be able to spend the amount of time. Even though he'll come out and spend a month with me, I work 16, 18 hours a day sometimes, and I travel a long way, and I get my weekends and stuff when he's out here, and I stay up late with him when I get home. But I told him today, you watch TV, Jack, after you're done with school. You watch the news. I said, this is history. There's points in times where you're going to look back in 15 or 20 or 30 years and go, oh, God. And I said, this is one of those days. This is one of those weird days, those surreal days where it feels like everybody is inside watching what's going on and what's happening. I said 9/11 was that way, but it also took us. But it was a singular, just like this. It was a singular area in a singular time. But you recognized that something was happening, and I said, "You need to watch this. This is history." Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Twitter, I'm told, had removed that video because of the false statements about the election. And it's notable that in that video, he actually went on to say to the people that stormed the Capitol, and this is an exact quote, "Go home. We love you. You are very special."
Twitter's locked Trump out. Said, nah. Warns he could be banned. It's possible. I don't know. Obviously, they won't ban him until he's not the president. But don't be surprised if he's banned. He'll go over to Parler, and he'll have 50 billion people that'll follow him over there. But even, like I said, people that I know who support Trump through and through are through and through with this. They've had enough. They hold him personally responsible for this. I can't hold people personally responsible for actions of other people, but I can hold them personally responsible for helping promote some of those actions. At the end of the day, you make choices. But enough. But Chad, it was stolen, Fred Upton, Republican, Michigan.
Voters made that decision, and judges and politicians shouldn't be superseding the rights of the states.
Which is true. What are you saying? Well, yeah, there was stuff that we have serious questions about when it came to this election. I absolutely do. I have some questions. Stuff got to the Supreme Court and got shot down before. Remember, of the 6 contested super swing states that Trump lost, that they were all going to go out there and contest today, and challenge, of these 6, I think 5 of them are Republican-held state legislators, and the states make up their own rules. And challenges across the board pre even the election, some of them were held up. North Carolina, Pennsylvania were held up by the Supreme Court. It was essentially when it's a draw, and Amy Coney Barrett did not get involved in it because she said, "I don't know anything about it." It's like, you guys are asking me to rule on this on a Monday. I've read nothing about it. I don't know anything. I'm going to sit this one out. And so it was a draw. Tie went to the runners, went straight back down to what the lower court said. Because that's the way it was. What are you saying? We love to pick and choose all of these things when it comes to our Constitution. We love to pick and choose, But at the end of the day, the Constitution is a map. It's a map for our liberty and our freedom. And much like regular maps, we don't always follow it. Today was not a good day for America. I know we're going to get through it. I'm not worried about that. I continue to say we're not going to become Venezuela under this. We're not going to be Venezuela. It's just not happening. I just want to point that out. It looks like craziness and chaos, but here's the reality of it. Small group of people did asinine things. While a large group of people went to support the president, a small group of the knuckleheads did asinine things. And in doing asinine things, it made us look stupid. The majority of the people go, it's getting dark. We're all hungry. We're going home. We're going back to our hotels. We got a flight to catch. And that's what happened there. It's not everywhere. It's not millions of people. It was hundreds of people that got in there or tried to get in there and caused problems. Just like when you saw the riots and the chaos in the streets, you had 50,000 people in places like, Minneapolis and stuff, day in and day out. But what happens is a few knuckleheads do stupid things. And the Republicans called out all of those people for doing stupid things. And they looked over the Democrats and say, where are you? And they didn't call any of it out. And they should have. And they absolutely should have. 110%. But stop trying to make the argument that somehow they get hey, you get a free hall pass on this one. No, it's not the way it goes. It isn't. The vote tonight, 20 minutes away, will resume. Constitution says today's the day that they ratify it.
We're in the middle of the process. We're only on the third state in terms of counting the electoral votes. So at some point that has to finish.
Yeah, and I think it will. I think it will. And the question is, what happens from here? What happens tomorrow? What happens when it's finally over? Meaning that they've gone through it and they've ratified it. The thought process today was people had the opportunity to grandstand. They'll have the opportunity to make some noise and get their faces out there and raise their profile, whether they're going to run for presidency in 4 years, Josh Hawley and I'm looking over at you, Ted Cruz, or whether it is the likes of some of the other people, Paul Gosar, who started this today for Arizona, and you want to run for Senate maybe, or what happens after this though? I don't think we're going to do 5 more of these. Do you? I think some people are thinking, I don't know if we want to go through with it like this. And it makes people who support Trump and Republicans look bad. You can't tell me this is a win for the Republican Party. It's not a win for the Republican Party. It isn't. And you have people out there who are speaking up against this. And they should be. I get people are pissed and they have lost faith in some of the institutions we have. These are momentary things. Some of these people are making lifetime decisions because of momentary situations.
You love America. You understand the greatness of our country is the great institutions we have, and you defend those institutions. You defend our Constitution. You don't try to overturn through violence and protest the things that you say you value. I see what's going on here. I see people breaking into the Capitol and breaking into the Senate chamber, and all because they think that the country is being taken away from them. I would just say that you are adding to the hopelessness of people.
Yeah. It's not a win. Take the energy, take your pissed off anger, take it that and redirect it towards something. Hey, you know what, guys? Rather than doing this, and it's okay, let's protest the hell out of it. Let's stand on the doors of the people's house. Let's let our voice be heard. But you know what hurts even more? Let's get these people out of here. Let's get people in the positions who represent the values that we believe in. Let's get them out of here. Let's take away the thing they hold so dear to them, so precious. That's their fiefdoms, their power, their job. Three 538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Love hearing from all of you. It's, you know what, it is, and like I said, over and over again, it's, you've got people like Chris Christie who's trying to be a part of a solution of what's going on tonight, to throw some water on the fire.
I've been spending the last 25 minutes or so trying to get the president on the phone myself to say this to him directly. I haven't been successful yet, but I'm going to continue to try, and it's pretty simple. The president caused this protest to occur. He's the only one who can make it stop. And it's not good enough. What the vice president just said is not good enough. What the president said is not good enough. The president has to come out and tell his supporters to leave the Capitol grounds.
Because they listen. Because they listen. Because they listen. I tweeted out earlier, the world's watching, Mike Pence. What are you doing? Are you going to other Republicans and you're saying, all right, I can calm him down? He's pissed. He's angry. Or are you at the point where you've thrown your hands up? You know, one of the things today that I've been on a bunch of shows all day, throughout the day. So I've done, by the time I get out of here tonight, about 10, 11 hours of radio. And, you know, Trump thought, hey, Pence couldn't do anything. Pence was Michael Buffer. You ever watch fights? Michael Buffer isn't the referee, and he's not a judge. He's the announcer. And that's what Pence was today. He was the ringleader. He was the master of ceremony. But that's all his duty was. And he let it be known by a tweet earlier that, hey, I can't do anything. I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to abide by the rules of the Constitution. That Constitution and the oath you took also means protecting our country. And my question early today is, Pence going to step out of the shadow and said, you know, it's one thing when I'm standing back there for 4 years, right, being treated like Ringo Starr. And I'm just kidding. Ringo's a good dude. But it's one thing to sit back there and you know, go through a lot of the crap, knowing full well he couldn't stand 99% of it, but put up with it. And at the same time, have your chance to step out of the shadow and put your foot down today, which over the last couple of days, which has absolutely pissed Trump off. But now you're even in a different position. And where Trump had a ton of support from Republicans earlier today, as they get ready to convene here in about 13 minutes, I have a feeling if you did a whip around in the rooms that they're in, because they're in a bunch of rooms, for those of you not keeping score.
The room is somber, is angry, but it also seems that there's been a lot of prayer going on in there and has been a bit of a unifying experience for the members as they've sort of hunkered down together, Republicans and Democrats in this space.
Because they're all in holding rooms in separate places. If you're Pence, people are looking. How do you step out of the shadow right now? How do you take that step? Because if you've got any opportunity of continuing in the world of politics, now is your chance to not only see sanity, right, and calm, but to also throw your hat out there. Because all these politicians are looking for the next step. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text. Love hearing from all of you. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Set Chad straight. Text the show, 323-538-2423. That's 323-538-CHAD. Someone has to do it. Might as well be you. The Chad Benson Show.
Crazy. You know, yesterday, the thought was the FBI's looking out for Iran because they were supposedly going to drive or fly a plane into or drive something into or into the Capitol today. I think they were like, yeah, we don't have to do anything. They got it handled for us. Getting lots of Chad. All these people are Antifa members. That's it. This is to make Trump look bad. They're all Antifa members. It's always a conspiracy. Look, would I be surprised if one of two of them were out to do something stupid? No. Would not be surprised at all. Come on, I'm not an idiot. But that just goes. It goes to the length of which people are willing to because their belief is so wrapped up. Man, there were people in Jonestown who were like, "Hey, man, give me that Kool-Aid. This is the right thing to do." Right? There are people down in San Diego. right? Mira Mesa or Del Mar or wherever it was, right? Going, hey, T and Doe had it going on, so we got to get this dead there. The spaceship is waiting. So we're moments away from the restarting of the ratification of the Electoral College and the votes. So McConnell and Schumer are going to speak. By the way, McConnell today basically said, people have spoken. We're moving on. And then, Ted Cruz had his moment and he did his thing. And then it started to get chaotic and wacky and weird and away it went. And that's where we are. But they are going to do all they can in their power today, based on the Constitution, to get this thing done tonight, to get this thing done now, which is what they're supposed to do. But you just sit here and you're just like, my God. What were you thinking? Republicans speaking out, not in defense of Trump, but telling the supporters, what are you doing?
Millions of Americans have been misled to believe that members of Congress can single-handedly overturn the results of this presidential election via a vote to object the Electoral College.
They can't. They can't. Well, yeah, they can. No, Pence couldn't either. This was going to happen. This was happening today, and it's going to happen tonight. And you can go storm all you want. You can do at this point in time. That's it. It's done. And it's driving people crazy, and they're angry and they're upset. And that's where you say we can do two things here. We can do what we did earlier, or we could go and turn this into something that will last long term by putting people in place. But they've been misled about all of the cheating and hundreds of thousands and millions and even today listening to Trump talk about and there was X amount of hundreds of thousands and millions of people that voted in Detroit, and you could go look at the record. It's not hard to look at, see how many people voted. But because you're so deep in it, you just go, yes, he's absolutely right. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Moments away from, the start of it again. Not the riots, but the ratification and the counting of the Electoral College is going to take place. Obviously, unless you've just woken up from a coma, you're like, what's been going on? You know what's taking place. Won't have to paint the picture over and over again. People stormed the Capitol. Some of them angry protesters. Some of them probably more interested in views and likes and retweets. And some of them there to do, some damage and feel like that they have been completely crushed and ousted by the system and that they need to, go there and fix it. Donald Trump helped play a huge role in this today. Don't tell me he didn't, because he absolutely did. Woman lost her life.
That sounds like a here. Get her down. Get her light. Flashlight.
Young lady in her 20s. She died. She died. Capitol Police. Undermanned. Underpersoned, for those of you who want to be politically correct. As this chaos ensued. It's nuts. And I do look at Trump. I look right at Trump. I look at him, and yeah, I'm holding you partially responsible for this. Absolutely. You have fed people a bunch of baloney, a bunch of turds over and over again. And unfortunately, they've eaten a lot of it up. And today was one of those days. And you had people on stage today like Rudy Giuliani talking about, hey, it's combat, it's trial by combat. And, I'll march down there with you. Do I think he wanted anybody killed? No, I'm not stupid. And that person and those people who made the decision to breach and to go in there, that was their choice. They should be held responsible. 110%. Protesting is phenomenal. Violent protesting is not. You know that, and I know that. Looting and rioting, which wasn't going on here. I mean, did they trash a few places? Yeah. Did they break some windows? Absolutely. Was it mostly peaceful? Somebody said, well, it's mostly peaceful. Stop trying to compare it to the stuff we saw in the summer. Producer Phil, we have opportunity here to take a little bit of Mitch McConnell. Let's get himself back up there. Who, by the way, just looks absolutely wrecked. He's normally wrecked. But he's like, oh, man.
Somebody who lost an election by 7 million votes, lost the Electoral College.
So that's Bernie Sanders right there, who's on. But Mitch McConnell right now is on the floor giving a speech. So tonight they're going to count the Electoral College votes, and we'll see how this plays itself out. So it started today with Gosar, the third state I'm in, state I live in, my home state, Arizona, of saying that they wanted to contest. And in doing so, that's where it started. And here we are hours later, still not done. Let's hear some of Mitch McConnell.
4 years, for more than 2 centuries, whether our nation's been at war or at peace, under all manner of threats, even during an ongoing armed rebellion and the Civil War, the clockwork of our democracy has carried on. The United States and the United States Congress have faced down much greater threats than the unhinged crowd we saw today. We've never been deterred before, and will be not deterred today. They tried to disrupt our democracy. They failed. They failed. They failed to attempt to obstruct the Congress. This failed insurrection only underscores how crucial the task before us is for our republic. Our nation was founded precisely so that the free choice of the American people is what shapes our self-government and determines the destiny of our nation. Not fear, not force, but the peaceful expression of the popular will. Now, we assemble this afternoon to count our citizens' votes and to formalize their choice of the next president. Now we're going to finish exactly what we started. We'll complete the process the right way, by the book. We'll follow our precedents, our laws, and our Constitution to the letter. and we will certify the winner of the 2020 presidential election. Criminal behavior will never dominate the United States Congress. This institution is resilient. Our democratic republic is strong. The American people deserve nothing less.
That right there was Mitch McConnell tonight, laying out what's going to happen. Chuck Schumer's going to step up next. Take a little bit of that.
Mr. President, it is very, very difficult to put into words what has transpired today. I have never lived through or even imagined an experience like the one we have just witnessed in this Capitol. President Franklin Roosevelt set aside December 7th, 1941, as a day that will live in infamy. Unfortunately, we can now add January 6th, 2021, to that very short list of dates in American history that will live forever in infamy. This temple to democracy was desecrated, its windows smashed, our offices vandalized. The world saw Americans' elected officials hurriedly ushered out because they were in harm's way. The House and Senate floors were places of shelter until the evacuation was ordered, leaving rioters to stalk these hallowed halls. Lawmakers and our staffs, average citizens who love their country, serve it every day, feared for their lives. I understand that one woman was shot and tragically lost her life. We mourn her and feel for her friends and family. These images were projected to the world. Foreign embassies cabled home their home capitals to report the harrowing scenes at the very heart of our democracy. This will be a stain on our country, not so easily washed away. The final, terrible, indelible legacy of the 45th President of the United States, undoubtedly our worst. I want to be very clear. Those who perform these reprehensible acts cannot be called protesters. No, these were rioters and insurrectionists, goons and thugs, domestic terrorists. They do not represent America. They were a few thousand violent extremists who tried to take over the Capitol building and attack our democracy. They must and should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law, hopefully by this administration, if not, certainly by the next. They should be provided no leniency. I want to thank the many of the Capitol Hill Police and Secret Service and local police who kept us safe today and worked to clear the Capitol and return it to its rightful owners and its rightful purpose. I want to thank the leaders, Democrat and Republican, House and Senate. It was Speaker Pelosi, Leader McConnell, Leader McCarthy, and myself who came together and decided that these thugs would not succeed, that we would finish the work of that our Constitution requires us to complete in the very legislative chambers of the House and Senate that were desecrated, but we know always belong to the people and do again tonight. But make no mistake, my friends, today's events did not happen spontaneously. The president who promoted conspiracy theories that motivated these thugs, the president who exhorted them to come to our nation's capital, egged them on. He hardly ever discourages violence and more often encourages it. This president bears a great deal of the blame. This mob was in good part President Trump's doing, incited by his words, his lies. This violence, in good part, his responsibility, his everlasting shame. today's events certainly would not have happened without him. Now, January 6th will go down as one of the darkest days in recent American history. A final warning to our nation about the consequences of a demagogic president, the people who enable him, the captive media that parrots his lies, and the people who follow him as he attempts to push America to the brink of ruin. As we reconvene tonight, let us remember, in the end, all this mob has really accomplished is to delay our work by a few hours. We will resume our responsibilities now, and we will finish our task tonight. The House and Senate chambers will be restored good as new and ready for legislating in short order. The counting of the electoral votes is our sacred duty. Democracy's roots in this nation are deep, they're strong, and they will not be undone, ever, by a group of thugs. Democracy will triumph, as it has for centuries. So to my fellow Americans who were shocked and appalled by the images on their televisions today and who are worried about the future of this country, let me speak to you directly. The divisions in our country clearly run deep, but we are a resilient, forward-looking, and optimistic people, and we will begin the hard work of repairing this nation tonight, because here in America, we do hard things. In America, we always overcome our challenges. I yield the floor.
Mr. McConnell and Chuck Schumer tonight delivering some messages to the people that stormed the Capitol today and resuming the duties of ratifying the election. It's the Chad Benson Show.
If you like talk radio like Chad Benson likes his meals, you've come to the perfect place for takeout.
What's funny is the way that everybody juxtaposed like these things. And the way that things took place today. So you've got the people on the right who are saying, well, Black Lives Matter did stuff and the left didn't call them out and we should be able to do stuff. And the people on the left are like, well, the way that they respond to people in Black Lives Matter compared to the way they respond to these people. You know what? All of it's bad. There. Problem solved. Problem solved right there. Today, what took place is ridiculous. Period. Case closed. End of story. End of story. Senator Mitch McConnell.
I want to say to the American people, the United States Senate will not be intimidated. We will not be kept out of this chamber by thugs, mobs, or threats.
Has a different feel watching them debate today. Has a different feel compared to what it was today. It does. I look at this and it's tell you what, it almost feels like, you know what? Remember how we were going to give the debate and do these kind of things? And okay, but we've decided now we're just going to get this thing done.
And we will certify the winner of the 2020 presidential election.
Doesn't seem like it's going to be a lot of debating. I think it's going to be a lot of, hey, we're going to give everybody our 2 cents right now. By the way, Mitch McConnell said it was an insurrection. Aww. Vice President Mike Pence started the proceedings.
To those who wreaked havoc in our capital today, you did not win. Violence never wins. freedom wins. And this is still the people's house.
And here we are. So what will take place now is, I don't know, the debate, the way it's supposed to break down, we'll break down how it was supposed to go today compared to what took place. We'll break down how this whole thing should have shook down. And you know what? And I'm going to say this because I'm a bit wonky at times. Not only was this awful, stupid, and an embarrassment, this also robbed us of some of my wonkiness and the procedures that I like to see be played out. Because too often not, it's lost nowadays in the TMZ reality show politics. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
I'm not trying to object to all the states. The few states that I feel like that they went around the state legislature and changed the election laws, which is outside the constitutional authority to do that.
That's Mark Wayne Mullen, Republican, Oklahoma. So the way this was supposed to start today, let me break this down. Okay, before all the chaos, the craziness, and the subsequent issue, can we just also talk about the fact that a woman was killed today on Capitol grounds inside of the House with all this chaos and craziness going? Can we just take a moment? Step back for a second. So the way that this was supposed to work, okay? Everybody shows up. It's the day. It's in the Constitution. By the way, I always hear about, well, it's the Constitution. They stepped around. Some of these states out here went around and allowed people who were not part of the legislature to change certain things. Pennsylvania, North Carolina. Whether they extended dates here, and they went to court in some of these things even before the election. So the way that you have this supposedly done today is pretty simple. You come in, the entire Senate is in the chamber. All right, so they're all there. They're in the chamber, and you've got the Vice President of the United States, who is the president of said chamber. And the president of said chamber starts to go alphabetically, right? Alabama, Alaska, gets to Arizona. Is there anybody here who objects? Paul Gosar stands up, says he objects. He's part of what? He's part of the House. Well, does anybody here in the Senate also object and have it in writing? Ted Cruz stands up, says that. Then they go, we must break off. Senate goes to their chamber. House is in their chamber. You need both chambers after the debate, which could last up to 2 hours, to then say that, yes, we agree that what happened here was unconstitutional, or it was stolen, and that this should not be, these electors, just in this state alone, should not be allowed to happen. But you need both the Senate and the House. Well, the House is run by who? House is run by the Democrats, even though Mitch has still, for now, for another 14 days, the absolute power in the Senate, which will be leaving in 14 days because now that the two races are over in Georgia and the Republicans lost both of them, now that that's happened, he won't have that anymore. But I don't think Mitch was going to go along with it either. Ted Cruz was the one who's pushing for, hey, let's take a look at these kind of things. Let's do this. Now, remember, today's the day, according to the Constitution, that this thing needs to be done. And let's be real. Everybody in politics seems to play loose and fast with the Constitution if it suits their needs.
The Hayes-Tilden election where this Congress appointed an electoral commission to examine claims of voter fraud. 5 House members, 5 senators, 5 Supreme Court justices.
So he comes out, he does his things, and then everything starts to go wonky. And that's when people start storming, getting closer. It starts getting louder. All of a sudden, people are starting to break in, and then they realize, okay, we need to suspend this. Now, this is supposed to be 5 or 6 of these states they were going to go through. If there is a tie, the electoral votes continue to stay in the bucket. Well, what about Pence, right? Pence has no power. Pence is, for all intents and purposes, a master of ceremonies. He's Michael Buffer. I keep saying that, but I think it's the best thing out there. He's Michael Buffer. Michael Buffer is the guy who brings everybody up to say, ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble. Right? He does his thing. This is a freaking great voice. Good dude. Right? So that he, but he's not a judge and he's not a referee. They're not going to the Michael Buffer scorecards, and he's not inside saying, keep your punches up. But the Constitution, Chad, go look at times that presidents have overstepped the Constitution. Right? Go look at the way that they've sidestepped it, stepped on it, walked over it. They have. They all have at some point in time. But this is more about the policies that the Founding Fathers put in as, hey, this is kind of some of our checks and balances. This is how we do things here. So let's hear what they have to say. Let's give them their voice and the opportunity to have that voice. And they did, but only for a little while before everything went haywire. Nothing was going to change today, by the way. I mean, Ted Cruz, this was more about Ted Cruz than it was Donald Trump in this election. This was more about Ted Cruz and raising his profile. Josh Hawley raising his profile. Gosar and a few other Republicans that were going to be the ones in the House, maybe thinking to themselves, hey, I'd like to run for Senate. This will help, especially because I'm going to need some of Donald Trump's supporters. And this is where we are. So that did not happen today. And no, Mike Pence doesn't have any chance to flip this thing around. He's got none. Tweeted out something earlier today for all of this started about following the Constitution and what it says. He has there was nothing. He is ceremonial. In this, he is ceremonial. That's the reality. What? No, he is ceremonial. It's like if you became the Prime Minister of Britain, right? So the UK, you Prime Minister of the UK, you have to go and you go see the Queen. The Queen calls you. Come over to the palace. Come over to the palace. I'm going to talk to you. It's pomp, it's circumstance. It's what's done. But if the will of the people, and that's just it. We need to make sure we have integrity in our elections, that our elections are as safe as they possibly can be. Absolutely we do. But at the same time, Is this what we're going to get every time somebody loses? It was stolen from me. I get why people in the Republican Party, and in particular Trump supporters, were pissed about what took place for the last 4 years. What took place for the last 4 years of trying to undo that election. I thought Russia was BS. Didn't buy into it. I think most people who were like looking, going, I'm not buying into any of this. I'm not even paying that much attention to Russia. It's over. It feels like it's a bunch of baloney. Thing fell apart. It was a witch hunt. The way that the media has portrayed Trump supporters. Racist, misogynistic, knuckle draggers, simpletons. Stupid. Idiotic. Absolutely. I get it. We have a process here in this country. Today was not part of that process. Today was not part of that at all. And the fact that we're back at it today is great. The fact that we're back at it tonight and we're going to finish this thing by the looks out of it is awesome. Now, will they rush through it? Will we not get the same amount as a lot of people thought we were going to get today, which was potentially 6 states that would be not must say contested, but challenged? I don't know. But they're there, and by all accounts, they're going to get this thing done tonight.
And we will certify the winner of the 2020 presidential election.
323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Impeachment? With only 2 weeks? We'll touch on that. Recap some of the stuff that took place today and find out where we go from here. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Check out our Chad Benson Show Facebook page where you can hang out or hang your grievances out to dry. This is Chad Benson.
This was a fraudulent election, but we can't play into the hands of these people. We have to have peace. So go home. We love you. You're very special. You've seen what happens. You see the way others are treated that are so bad and so evil. I know how you feel, but go home and go home in peace.
We love you. Good work, but, that was Trump's. Hey, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Hey, don't do this. Go home. You shouldn't be doing stuff. But, yeah, good work there. But, business leaders. The head of U.S. major business groups that represent 14,000 companies, Exxon, Mobil Corp, Pfizer, Toyota, urged senior U.S. officials to consider removing President Donald Trump from office after supporters of the president today took to the Capitol in ways that they shouldn't have taken to the Capitol. There's ways to do things right, and there's ways to do things wrong. And to put this on all Trump supporters is dumb. But Trump played a huge part in this.
The president who promoted conspiracy theories that motivated these thugs, the president who exhorted them to come to our nation's capital, egged them on. He hardly ever discourages violence and more often encourages it. This president bears a great deal of the blame.
Not all of it. People make choices. People made choices today. Now, the question is, it's only 2 weeks. What can he do in 2 weeks? That is a question. What might happen? Well, if you think impeachment's out of the question, there's talk.
There's a growing sense that maybe even some Republicans would privately say that there's something wrong with the president's head at this moment, frankly. And there's talk about using the 25th Amendment to remove him. I think that is unlikely. But the talk of impeachment is real. It's being entertained by members of House and even Senate leadership.
Yeah. And that is Republicans as well. Would Trump step away? I don't know. Tell you what, though. Today was not our shining moment. But the beauty of our country is we're stronger than one episode. We're stronger than one bad president, one bad Senate, one bad Congress. We're stronger than that. And we're going to get through this thing. We're going to come out the other side. We're going to strengthen ourselves. Now's the time where we look around and we say, you know what? We could do a lot of different things. Going at each other and blaming each other and coming at each other these ad hominem ridiculous arguments about, well, BLM and Antifa got away with all this stuff, so they should be allowed to get away with this, and coming at it, well, why didn't you shoot protesters today? Is it because they're white compared to what happened? Enough. It's where we come together. You don't have to like the outcome of the election. You can think things are fishy. You can have questions, because those things we should always have. It's okay to have a skosh of cynicism and skepticism in the way that some of this stuff plays itself out. But at the end of the day, the world's watching us. At the end of the day, we are that beacon on the hill that that's so cliche. No, that's what we are. People look at us. People are waking up around the world finding out that our politicians had to be hurried out of their chambers, and that people rolled on in to some of these offices and hallowed grounds, if you want to call it that. Yeah, it's the people's house. Absolutely. You didn't have an invitation today. You had an invitation outside all day long. There's ways we do things and ways we don't do things. Today was one of those ways. Do I think Trump will be impeached? Would I be surprised? And by the way, just to let you guys know, they could do this quick, fast. They could. Would I be surprised if he finishes out 2 weeks from today? Leaves a day or two before? No. I wouldn't. Would I be surprised if by tomorrow or this weekend that he's decided he's done with this, or that other people in the Republican Party have stepped up and made the Barry Goldwater wander over, saying, all right, we've had enough? I wouldn't either. At this point, I think anything's on the table. But the beauty of our country, the thing that makes us so much different, is 2 years from now, we have another election. And people will have an opportunity to get out there and take the loss or the win, depending on what side of the aisle you're on, and either strengthen or gain back and put people in place that represents the values that you want. There are people that are watching this tonight are thinking, you know, I'm going to run for office. We can't let this kind of stuff happen again. That's the beauty of our country. Today was a black eye. It was. And I don't know what tonight into the early morning is going to hold for any of what's going to go on. What I do know, though, is it's going to get done at some point in time in the next several hours. And Joe Biden, 2 weeks from today, will be president of the United States. And we will get through that. I promise you that. Because we're better and bigger than this. We're bigger than one person. We're bigger than one party. And we're bigger than one incident. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. I love hearing from every single one of you. Love and hate. I'm fine with both. The reality is, I know some of you are angry and you're upset and you're pissed and you think I'm anti this or anti that. I'm the exact opposite. You know what I am? I love the truth and I love our country. You guys have a great night. We got you over the hump. We'll do it again tomorrow. Night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.